shouldn't have listened.
Jess didn't cry after Kyle was gone. She went quiet in a way that scared me more than the screaming had. She sat on the floor where she'd fallen, back against the wall, eyes open but unfocused, breathing shallow and controlled, like she was afraid that if she let it deepen, something else would come with it. Aaron tried to speak to her twice and stopped both times before the words left his mouth. He looked smaller now, folded in on himself. The kind of fear that doesn't shake you, just hollows you out. Outside, the forest adjusted again. The remaining corridor, the only one left, had straightened overnight. The posts stood evenly spaced, cleanly aligned, leading away from the cabin toward the interior of the island. No alternative paths, no suggestion of choice. "Who remembers?" the journal had said. I kept hearing that phrase over and over, like it was trying to root itself in my head. Morning came thin and colorless. The light didn't spread, it settled. The clearing looked flattened, like contrast had been turned down on the world. Aaron finally spoke. "We have to move." Jess didn't respond. "If we stay," he continued, voice shaking, "it'll come back." I crouched in front of Jess, careful not to touch her without warning. "Jess," I said softly, "we need you." Her eyes flicked to mine. For a second, something like recognition sparked there. "It took him," she said. Her voice was flat. "And it didn't even hurry." Aaron swallowed. "We don't have a choice anymore." Jess closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were clearer, focused in a way that felt deliberate. "It wants memory," she said. "That's the test." Aaron frowned. "Memory of what?" Jess stood slowly, joints stiff. "Of how this place worked before it worked on us." I understood then what she meant. The rules hadn't appeared out of nowhere. They'd been learned, recorded, refined. Kyle's grandfather hadn't been the first. We followed the corridor. There was no pressure this time, no resistance. The forest didn't need to push when compliance came easily. The air inside the lane was still, sound flattened, but it no longer felt hostile. It felt expectant. As we walked, Jess started talking. Not to us, to the island. "You started near the water," she said quietly. "That's where you anchor. You move through damp places. You use sound when you need attention. Touch when you need correction." Aaron glanced at her, alarmed. "Jess, I'm not naming it," she said sharply. "I'm describing it." The corridor narrowed slightly, like it was listening. "You don't take people randomly," Jess continued. "You take them when they fit the step you need." I felt a faint pressure in my ears, like a change in altitude. Jess nodded. "Yeah, like that." The path led us toward a stand of trees we hadn't been near before. The ground dipped into a shallow basin where water collected under the snow, the earth permanently slick and dark. At the center of it stood something that hadn't been there before. A structure. Not a building, not really. A frame. 4 posts driven into the ground, connected by crossbeams of dark, water-stained wood. No walls, no roof, just an outline of a room. Inside the frame, the ground was bare earth, churned and wet. Aaron stopped. "That's new." Jess nodded. "That's where they stayed." "Who?" Aaron asked. Jess didn't answer right away. Then, softly, "The ones who remembered long enough to write it down." The journal slid out of my pack without me touching it and fell open at my feet. A page fluttered once, then settled. "Night 7, I read aloud despite myself. recognition phase. Below it, a line formed slowly, ink spreading as if pulled by moisture. If they remember, they may remain aware. Jess stepped forward into the frame. The moment her foot crossed the boundary, the forest went silent. Erin grabbed my arm. "Jess!" She didn't look back. Inside the frame, the air looked thicker, like heat shimmer without heat. Jess stood very still, eyes closed, breathing steady. "What do you remember?" a voice asked. Not Mark's, not Kyle's. Hers. Jess's own voice layered over itself. Her shoulders tensed. "I remember the rules," she said, "and I remember what happens when you follow them too well." The frame creaked softly, wood flexing under pressure. Erin whispered, "This is wrong." I wasn't sure it was. The voice pressed again. "What do you remember before us?" Jess hesitated. The silence stretched. Then she said, "I remember people coming here thinking it was empty." The ground inside the frame darkened, damp, spreading outward. "And I remember," she continued, voice stronger now, "that you learned from them, not the other way around." The pressure in the air spiked. The forest leaned inward. The frame shuddered. Erin pulled back. "It's going to take her." Jess opened her eyes. "No," she said firmly. "It already tried." The voice fell silent. The journal's page rippled. A new line appeared. "Memory accepted." The frame released a fraction of its tension, wood settling. Jess stepped backward out of it. The forest exhaled. Erin sagged with relief. I hadn't realized how tightly I'd been holding my breath. Jess looked at us, face pale but steady. "It's changing the test," she said, "because we're not forgetting fast enough." Behind us, the corridor shifted. For the first time since night one, it forked. Two paths opened where there had been one, and both led away from the cabin. Night 7 wasn't about being taken. It was about what you carried with you when you were allowed to stay. We stood at the fork longer than we should have. Two corridors, equally straight, equally silent. The posts along each path were identical in height and spacing, the wood dark with the same damp sheen. If there was a difference, it wasn't one I could see. Erin rubbed his arms like he was cold, though the air hadn't changed. "How do we know which one?" Jess stared down the left corridor, eyes narrowed, not looking at it so much as through it. "It's not about which one is safe," she said. "It's about which one makes sense." "That's not helpful," Erin said weakly. Jess shook her head. "It's the only thing that is." She knelt and pressed her palm flat against the ground between the two paths. The earth was wet enough to darken her skin immediately. She closed her eyes, breathing slow. I expected something to happen. A voice, pressure, correction. Instead, nothing did. Jess opened her eyes. "This one," she said, pointing to the right-hand corridor. "It's the one that remembers us." Erin swallowed. "And the other?" Jess's mouth tightened. "It remembers them." We didn't ask who they were. We took the right-hand path. The moment we committed, the left corridor changed. The posts along it leaned inward sharply, closing the lane until it collapsed into an ordinary stretch of forest, indistinguishable from everything around it. The island had accepted our answer. We walked until the light began to fail again. Not sunset, something earlier. A dimming that felt premature, like the day had been shortened on purpose. The corridor led us toward a part of the island where the trees thinned and the ground sloped downward into a wide, shallow hollow. Water pooled there beneath a skim of ice, the surface broken by dark shapes just under it. Old shapes. Wood. Aaron frowned. Is that a dock? It wasn't just one. As the light dropped, the shapes resolved into remnants of structures, partial. Docks, rotting planks, posts snapped off at knee height. Not all from the same time, not all built the same way. Jess stared at them, breathing shallow. They kept rebuilding. Who? Aaron asked. The people who thought staying meant surviving, she said. We stepped off the corridor and into the hollow. The air here was heavier, thick with the smell of stagnant water and decay. Every step sank slightly, boots breaking through crusted ice into cold sludge. The silence here wasn't enforced. It was earned. I noticed then that the waterlogged ground was patterned, not randomly churned, flattened in places, compressed into long ovals that overlapped and crossed. Standing marks. Waiting marks. Aaron whispered, "How many?" I didn't answer because counting felt like participating. The voice returned, not loud, not close, everywhere. "You remember," it said, almost approving. Jess nodded once. "Enough." "Enough to stay?" it asked. Jess didn't answer right away. The water at the center of the hollow shifted. A shape rose just beneath the surface, distorting reflections without breaking through. Aaron stepped closer to me, voice shaking. "Jess, don't do this." Jess turned to us, expression steady. "Listen," she said. "It doesn't want bodies anymore. It wants continuity." I felt cold spread up my legs, not from the ground, but from understanding. "It needs people who remember long enough to keep the rules intact," Jess continued. "Who don't run, who don't forget." The shape under the water stilled. The voice softened. "Remain." Aaron shook his head violently. "No, that's what it said to Kyle, to Mark." Jess's eyes flicked to him. They didn't remember. The water broke the surface then. Not a full emergence, just enough. A shoulder, a suggestion of a neck, skin that reflected the gray light like wet stone. It did not reach for us. It waited. "If you remain," the voice said, "the island remains stable." "And if we don't?" I asked, surprising myself. The water rippled. "Then memory erodes," it replied. "Rules fail. Corrections multiply." Jess took a step forward. Aaron grabbed her arm. "Jess, please." She looked at him, really looked, and for a second I saw how tired she was. Not afraid, just exhausted by carrying everything. "I won't let it turn us into what they were," she said softly. "Not without knowing." She stepped into the water. It climbed her boots instantly, soaking through fabric, biting cold. She didn't flinch. The water darkened around her legs, then stilled. The shape beneath the surface rose a fraction higher, close enough that I could see it wasn't one shape. It was many. Layered impressions, like different bodies had occupied the same space over time. "What do you remember?" the voice asked her again. Jess closed her eyes. "I remember," she said, the voice steady, "that you learned fear from people, but you learned patience from the ones who stayed." The water shuddered. "And I remember," she continued, "that you don't understand endings. You only understand continuation." The pressure in the hollow spiked. The air pressed in from all sides. The old docks creaked, wood complaining under strain. Jess opened her eyes. "So here's what I choose," she said. She took another step forward. The water reached her knees. "I remember us," she said, "and I remember how to leave." The shape under the surface surged upward, not attacking but reacting, uncertain. The voice sharpened. "Remain." Jess shook her head once. "No." She turned back toward us, water streaming from her clothes. "Run," she said. "Now!" The hollow convulsed. The ground heaved, ice shattering, water erupting outward in a sudden wave. The old docks collapsed inward, dragged down by something pulling from below. Aaron and I ran. Behind us, the voice rose, no longer calm. "You will forget," it said. "You always do." We burst back onto the corridor as the hollow imploded behind us, water and mud swallowing the frame of it. The posts shook violently, then reset, snapping into a single straight path that pointed, finally, toward the dock. Jess ran ahead of us, soaked and shaking, but alive. The journal flew from my pack and hit the ground, pages flipping wildly before settling open. Night 7, it read. Memory challenged. A final line appeared, jagged and uneven. Tomorrow, it will test what survives forgetting. The corridor ahead led away from the interior. For the first time since arriving, it led outward. Night 7 ended not with silence, but with something else. Retreat. And whatever that meant for Night 8, I knew one thing with terrible certainty. The island was no longer confident, and that made it dangerous in a way it hadn't been before. The corridor didn't hurry us. That was the worst part. After the hollow collapsed behind us, I expected pressure, hands, voices, the ground turning traitor under our feet. Instead, the posts stayed where they were, evenly spaced, the path ahead clean and unmistakable. The island didn't need to chase. It knew exactly where it wanted us. Toward the dock. Toward leaving. Jess moved faster than either of us despite being soaked to the knees. Her clothes clung to her, dark and heavy, water dripping steadily from her cuffs. She didn't shiver. Not yet. Her face had a tight, purposeful set to it, like she was afraid that if she slowed down, she'd feel everything at once. Aaron kept glancing over his shoulder. I couldn't blame him. The forest behind us looked ordinary again, too ordinary. No leaning trees, no whispering, just branches and snow and the illusion of space. "Why is it letting us go?" he asked finally, voice hoarse. Jess didn't answer right away. When she did, she didn't turn around. "It isn't." The path dipped slightly, then rose again. The dock should have been visible by now. We'd walked this distance before. The fact that it wasn't made my stomach knot. We stopped when the corridor narrowed to the point that our shoulders nearly brushed the posts on either side. The air inside felt thinner, the cold sharper, like the island was tightening a grip it hadn't fully committed to yet. That's when the forgetting started. It wasn't dramatic. No sudden blankness, no dizziness. Just a pause in my thoughts where something should have been. Aaron frowned and rubbed his temples. What were we just talking about? Jess stopped abruptly and turned. "Aaron," he blinked at her. "What?" "You just asked why it was letting us go," she said carefully. "What do you remember after that?" Aaron opened his mouth, then closed it again. His brow furrowed. We were running," he said slowly. "From the water." Jess's jaw tightened. "And before that?" He hesitated too long. My chest went cold. "You were holding my arm," I said, "at the fork." Aaron stared at me, confused. "What fork?" The posts creaked softly, a low sound of approval. Jess grabbed Aaron's shoulders, forcing him to meet her eyes. "Listen to me," she said, urgent but controlled. "You cannot let go of details, not names, not places. If you feel something slip, you say it out loud. Do you understand?" Aaron nodded, fear finally breaking through the confusion. "I think so." Jess shook her head. "No, you say it." "I understand," he said. The corridor eased a fraction, as if satisfied. We started moving again. Every few steps, something else tried to slide away. Not memories of the island, those stayed sharp. It was everything around them. Ordinary things, context, the connective tissue that made experiences line up into a story. At one point, I realized I couldn't remember how long we'd known Kyle. I knew he was important. I knew what he'd done for us, but the beginning, where he fit into my life before the island, was gone, like a page torn clean out. Jess caught me staring. "What did you lose?" she asked. I swallowed. "Kyle's laugh." She nodded grimly. "Say it anyway." "What?" "Say what you remember," she said. "Out loud." I forced myself to speak. Kyle laughed before he thought, like it surprised him. The pressure in my ears eased. Aaron let out a shaky breath. Okay, I get it." The dock finally came into view, or what should have been the dock. The shape ahead was wrong. The planks were there, but not intact. Sections were missing, edges jagged, boards warped upward like they'd been pulled from below and set back incorrectly. The water around it was dark and still, no ice forming despite the cold. Jess slowed. "It doesn't want us to leave cleanly." "No," Aaron said. "It wants us to choose to stay." The corridor ended a few yards from the dock, the posts stopping abruptly as if that was as far as the island would guide us. Beyond them, open space. Freedom, if we could reach it. That's when the voice returned. Not loud, not close. Tired. "You're forgetting," it said. "That's natural." Jess stepped forward to the edge of the posts. "You're doing it on purpose." "Yes," the voice replied calmly. "Memory resists guidance." The water near the dock rippled. A shape moved beneath it, slower than before, heavier. "If you leave," the voice continued, "you will forget what keeps you safe." Aaron's hands shook. "We don't need it." The voice paused, then, "You already do." The pressure hit then, not physical, not like before. It settled behind my eyes, heavy and dull, like a fog rolling in. I struggled to hold on to the details Jess had made us say. Kyle's laugh, Mark's calm eyes before he stepped outside, the bell's weight in my chest. The pressure intensified. Jess clenched her fists. "It's trying to make us lighter," she said through her teeth. "Easier to move." The water surged against the broken dock, slapping wood with wet force. "Stay," the voice said softly. "You don't have to remember everything." That was the most dangerous offer yet, and I knew deep down that Night 8 wasn't about escape. It was about what we were willing to forget to get it. The pressure behind my eyes thickened until it felt like thinking required permission. Not pain, not panic. Sedation. The kind you lean into when you're too tired to keep fighting. Aaron swayed slightly on his feet. I don't remember what the dock looked like before," he said, voice distant. "Was it always broken?" Jess grabbed his jacket and shook him once, hard. "Aaron, focus! Say something real!" He blinked at her. "I like pancakes," he said weakly. "On Sundays." The pressure eased for half a second. Jess nodded sharply. "Good. Keep going." "My mom used to burn them," he added, forcing a laugh that didn't quite land. "Every time." The posts creaked softly, displeased. The voice returned closer now, not in distance, but in intimacy. "You can rest," it said. "Forgetting is kinder than holding." Jess stepped past the posts. The moment she crossed the boundary, the air snapped back into sharpness, like static, discharging. The fog behind my eyes lifted just enough for me to realize what she was doing. "Jess," I said. "Don't," she turned, eyes fierce. "It can't erase what's anchored," she said. "Only what's floating." The water surged violently against the dock, boards slapping and groaning. A section tore loose and spun slowly, drifting away from the structure. The voice hardened. "Return to the lane." Jess ignored it and walked toward the dock, boots crunching over broken planks and ice. With each step, the pressure slammed into her harder. Her shoulders hunched, her breathing turned ragged, but she kept moving. Aaron grabbed my arm. "She's losing it." "No," I said. "She's pinning it." Jess stopped at the edge of the dock and did something I didn't expect. She spoke my name. Not shouted, not pleaded. She said it exactly the way she had the first time we met years ago, flat, almost bored, like she was filing it away. The pressure in my head shattered. I gasped, memories snapping back into place so violently it made me dizzy. Not just island memories. Everything. My apartment. The way my coffee tasted burnt if I left it on too long. The exact color of Kyle's truck. Aaron staggered as the same thing hit him. He dropped to one knee, retching. The posts shrieked, wood twisting under strain. "You're anchoring too much," the voice snapped. "That's not permitted." Jess smiled, teeth clenched. "You taught us." She stepped onto the dock. The water beneath it convulsed. A shape rose, not fully, not like before. More defined now. Shoulders, a neck, the suggestion of a head. Its surface churned constantly, never settling long enough to be one thing. It reached for the dock. Not Jess. The dock. Its fingers, too long, too jointed, curled around the remaining planks and pulled. The dock tore free with a deafening crack and collapsed inward, boards vanishing into the water as if swallowed. Jess jumped back just in time, landing hard on the shoreline. The corridor behind us screamed. Not in sound, in motion. The posts twisted violently, tearing themselves out of alignment. Some snapped clean in half. Others sank into the ground like they were being dragged under. The lane that had guided us vanished. The voice roared, no longer controlled. "You will forget." Jess stumbled to her feet, soaked, shaking, triumphant. "Not the way you need us to." The water surged once more, then fell still. The shape beneath it did not rise again. The forest rushed back to life all at once, wind tearing through branches, distant ice cracking, the lake groaning under stress. We stood there, gasping, surrounded by noise for the first time in days. Aaron laughed hysterically, then cried. "It's mad," he choked out. "It's actually mad." Jess nodded, breath coming in sharp pulls. "Good. That means it's losing control." The journal flew from my hand, pack, and hit the ground, skidding to a stop at Jess's feet. It lay open, pages thrashing like trapped wings before settling. "Night 8, Jess read aloud. "Forgetting disrupted." Below it, the ink was smeared, uneven. "Memory anchors established." She closed the journal with finality. The dock was gone. Our way off the island had been destroyed. But for the first time since arriving, the island had reacted instead of instructed. Jess looked at us, eyes bright with exhaustion and something like hope. "It can't guide if it's destabilized," she said. "Night 9 will be about control." Aaron wiped his face, nodding slowly. "And it's losing it." Behind us, deep in the trees, something shifted its path abruptly, angry, uncertain. The island had tried to make us lighter. Instead, we had made it unstable. Night 8 ended not with an escape, but with a break, and whatever came next would not be careful. It would be desperate. The island did not wait for night to fall. By late afternoon, the air had taken on a brittle edge, the kind that makes sound carry too far and snap too sharply when it breaks. The forest felt restless in a way it hadn't before. Not patient, not instructive, but agitated. Branches shifted without wind. The ground seemed to hold tension like a muscle flexed and held too long. Jess noticed it first. She always did. "It's trying to reassert," she said quietly. "It doesn't know how to operate without guidance." Aaron rubbed his arms. "So it's improvising." "That's worse," I said. The journal stayed closed, but it didn't stay still. Every time we stopped moving for more than a minute, I felt it tug against my pack like something inside it wanted out. Jess told me not to open it unless the island forced us to. "If it's writing ahead," she said, "we don't give it the satisfaction of being read." I moved inland, away from the ruined dock, following no corridor this time. The markers had lost coherence. Some leaned at odd angles. Others lay half-buried like discarded tools. Without the paths enforcing direction, the island felt larger and more dangerous. Control had been taken from it. It wanted it back. The first sign came as a sound we all recognized. The bell. Not distant this time, close enough that we could feel its vibration through the ground. One chime, then another. Not rhythmic, erratic. Aaron flinched. "I thought that was gone." Jess shook her head. "It doesn't forget tools. It repurposes them." The bell rang again, louder now, and the forest responded, not by leaning in, but by opening up. Trees shifted apart, creating clear lines of sight deeper into the island. Places that had been hidden were suddenly visible, like the land was exposing itself on purpose. "Don't look too long," Jess warned. "It's offering sight instead of guidance." I looked anyway. Between the trees, I saw shapes that didn't belong. Old clearings that had never been cleared, fire pits long gone cold, broken furniture half swallowed by moss, evidence of stays that had ended badly and been erased. Aaron whispered, "How many?" "Enough," Jess said. The bell rang again, and this time something answered it. Not water, not forest. Footsteps. Many of them. They came from different directions, converging toward us without urgency. The sound was wrong. Not the rhythm of people walking, but the imitation of it. Slightly delayed, slightly off. Jess grabbed my sleeve. "It's copying us again, on a larger scale." The footsteps stopped all at once. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then the voices began. Not overlapping, not chaotic, sequential. One voice at a time, speaking from different points in the trees. Kyle's voice. "You're doing great. Keep going." Mark's voice. "Don't stop. It hurts less if you don't stop." My own voice. "You already know what to do." Aaron clamped his hands over his ears. "Make it stop!" Jess shouted into the trees. This isn't control, this is panic! The voices faltered, just for a second. The bell rang hard, sharp enough to make my teeth ache. The ground beneath us shifted. Not opening, not collapsing, rearranging. Trees slid closer, paths narrowing into channels that resembled the old corridors but lacked their precision. This wasn't guidance. It was containment. "It's hurting us," I said. "Yes," Jess replied. "Towards something it can still enforce." The bell rang again, closer now, and the voices stopped. Ahead of us, through the trees, a structure emerged. Not the frame from Night 7, something older, larger. A wide, circular depression in the earth, ringed with evenly spaced posts sunk deep into the ground. Some were broken, others still stood, dark and slick with moisture. In the center lay a stretch of water so still it reflected the gray sky perfectly. A basin. Jess went pale. "This is where it resets." Aaron's voice shook. "Resets what?" Jess didn't answer immediately. Then, people. The bell rang once more, and the journal tore itself from my pack and slammed open at our feet. The page was already written. Night 9, it read. Control attempted. Below it, in uneven ink that bled into the paper, if guidance fails, containment follows. The water in the basin rippled, and for the first time since Night 1, I felt the island stop reacting to us and start acting through us. Night 9 had begun. The basin pulled at us without moving. There was no physical force, no sudden shove, just a tightening of space around the ring, trees leaning inward until the depression felt like the only place left that made sense to stand. Jess stopped at the edge of it. "This is where they lost themselves," she said quietly. The water in the center reflected us too clearly, not warped, not rippling. It showed exactly what stood there. 3 figures at the rim, tired, dirty, frightened. Too accurate to be natural. Aaron whispered, "I don't like seeing myself that clearly." The bell rang again, and the reflection blinked. For a fraction of a second, the faces in the water didn't match us. Kyle stood behind Jess's shoulder. Mark hovered just to Aaron's side. Their expressions were calm, accepting. Then the reflection snapped back. Jess clenched her fists. "It's trying to insert memory," she said. "Overwrite us with compliance." The posts around the basin creaked, rotating slightly inward. The circle tightened. "Containment stable," the voice said. Not one voice now, but many speaking in careful unison. "Correction possible." The water stirred. A shape rose beneath it, not fully, never fully, but enough to disturb the reflection. Faces layered and slid across the surface like images projected onto rippling glass. Aaron gagged and turned away. "Jess, I can't." "Yes, you can," she said sharply. "You have to." The ground behind us shifted. Trees closed the gap we'd entered through, sealing the basin completely. No corridors, no retreat. "This is the last test," Jess said, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "Not for us, for it." The voice responded immediately. "You do not test containment." Jess stepped closer to the water. "You can't reset what remembers itself." The surface of the basin darkened, reflections dissolving into shadow. The bell rang hard enough to make the posts vibrate. Aaron dropped to one knee, clutching his head. "It's trying to pull something out of me," he gasped. "What?" I asked. "My name," he said. "Not the sound. The weight of it." Jess grabbed his shoulders. "Say it," she ordered. "Say your name." and choked. "Aaron!" The pressure eased slightly. "Again," Jess said. "Aaron," he repeated louder. The basin reacted violently. The water surged upward in a sudden wall, stopping just short of the rim before collapsing back into itself. The voices screamed, not in pain, but in alarm. "Instability increasing," they said. "Reversion required." The reflections returned, but wrong. They showed us stepping forward willingly, entering the water one by one, calm and compliant. Kyle went first. Mark followed, then Jess. I felt a sudden, overwhelming pull to match the image, to complete the loop. Jess saw it too. "Don't look at that," she snapped. "Look at me." I forced my eyes up. Jess stepped into the basin. Aaron screamed her name. The water climbed her boots instantly, then her shins. She didn't hesitate. "This is what you never learned," she said to the basin. "Endings." The water surged higher, reaching her knees, then her waist. The posts around the ring groaned, wood splitting under strain. The voices fractured, overlapping and out of sync. "Remain. Reset. Contain. Remain." Jess's voice cut through them. "You don't get to keep us." She plunged her hands into the water. The reaction was immediate and catastrophic. The basin convulsed. The water erupted upward, no longer holding shape, no longer controlled. Reflections shattered into fragments that dissolved before they could settle. The posts snapped outward, one by one, flung away from the ring as if repelled by a sudden force. Aaron crawled backward, dragging me with him as the ground buckled beneath us. Jess was thrown backward out of the basin, landing hard on the mud. I ran to her without thinking, grabbing her under the arms and hauling her away as the center of the depression collapsed inward. The bell rang wildly, tone breaking apart mid-chime. The voices screamed. Not instructions, not warnings. Loss. The water drained rapidly, pulled downward into a sinkhole forming at the basin's center. Mud and debris followed, sucked in as if the island were swallowing its own heart. Then, silence. No bell. No voices. No pressure. Just wind tearing through the trees and the sound of distant ice cracking across the lake. We lay there, gasping, covered in mud and freezing water, staring at a ruined depression where the basin had been. Aaron laughed hysterically. Did we? Jess coughed, then nodded weakly. We broke it. The journal lay open nearby, pages soaked and warped. The ink on the Night 9 entry ran, letters bleeding into each other. One final line formed, shaky and incomplete. Control failed. The forest around us felt suddenly vast, unmanaged, untended. For the first time, the island felt like land again. Not a system, not a test. Jess pushed herself up on one elbow. "It's not over," she said, "but it's wounded." Aaron wiped his face, eyes red. What happens now? I looked toward the direction of the dock. Gone, broken, but still the way out. Night 10, I said quietly. We see what survives. Behind us, deep beneath the ground, something shifted one last time. Small, uncertain, retreating. Night 9 ended not with victory, but with collapse. And whatever the island had been holding together was now coming apart. The island felt hollow the next morning. Not quiet, emptied. Wind moved freely now, not redirected or muffled. Branches swayed without synchrony. Snow fell where it wanted instead of drifting into deliberate patterns. Even the ground under our boots felt different, less watchful, less taut. Jess noticed it too. She pushed herself upright slowly, testing her balance. "It's not holding itself together anymore," she said. "Whatever structure it had collapsed with the basin." Erin looked around, almost disoriented. "Then why does it still feel like it's waiting?" "Because wounds don't mean death. They mean exposure." The journal lay half buried in mud near the ruined basin, its pages swollen and warped. I hesitated before picking it up. For the first time since night 1, it felt like an object again instead of an extension of the island. I flipped to the last page. Nothing was written there. No rules, no prediction. That terrified me more than any instruction ever had. Jess exhaled slowly. "Night 10 isn't scripted," she said. "It can't plan anymore." Erin frowned. "So it reacts?" "Yes," she replied. "And reaction is messy." We moved toward where the dock had been, following memory instead of markers. The posts we passed were broken or sunken, their authority gone. Some leaned at odd angles, others lay flat, half-rotted, no longer meaningful. Without corridors, the island felt larger and stranger. Paths overlapped, distances stretched or compressed unpredictably. At one point, I was certain we'd been walking downhill for 10 minutes, only to realize the lake was suddenly below us again, farther away than it should have been. "This place doesn't know how to be neutral," Erin muttered. "It was built on rules." As we neared the shoreline, the smell of water grew stronger. The lake looked wrong again, but differently than before. Not predatory, uncertain. Ice fractured in irregular lines. Some areas were frozen solid, others rippled softly as if heat still lingered below. Jess stopped short. "Don't go closer yet." Erin followed her gaze. Across the water, near where the transport boat should have been able to reach the dock, stood a figure. Not moving, not approaching, just standing at the edge of the ice. For a brief, impossible moment, I thought it was Kyle. Then the figure shifted. Its posture was wrong, too still, too balanced. It raised one arm slowly and waved. Erin let out a broken laugh. No, that's..." The voice carried clearly across the water. 10 days, it said. "You stayed." It wasn't copying anymore. It was speaking for itself. Jess stepped forward despite herself. "You can't keep us." The figure tilted its head. "I'm not trying to." The ice cracked beneath its feet, but it didn't sink. "Then what is this?" I demanded. The figure lowered its arm. "Assessment." The word landed heavy. "Containment failed," it continued, voice stripped of emotion. "Guidance collapsed. Memory anchors destabilized." Jess's hands clenched. "So let us go." The figure didn't answer right away. The lake groaned, ice plates shifting against one another. "You can leave," it said finally. Erin sagged with relief. But not intact. The air tightened. Jess shook her head. "No." The figure gestured toward the water. "Every system sheds weight when it breaks." Behind us, the forest stirred, not leaning in, not enclosing, but listening. The figure's voice softened, almost thoughtful. "One of you will stay, not as a guide, not as a rule." My stomach dropped. "As proof," it finished. The lake cracked loudly, a long fissure racing toward the shore. Night 10 had begun. And this time, the island wasn't asking what we remembered. It was asking what we were willing to lose for forever.
No, Jess said immediately. Not whispered, not argued. Flat refusal. The figure across the ice did not react. It didn't need to. The lake answered for it. Another long crack ripping outward, water seeping up through the fractures in slow, dark veins. "1," the figure said calmly. "That is the minimum." Aaron backed away from the shoreline, shaking his head. "You don't get to do that. You're broken. You said it yourself." "Yes," the figure replied, "which is why balance is no longer automatic." Jess turned on Aaron, eyes blazing. "Do not volunteer," she snapped. "Do not even think it." Aaron swallowed hard. "Someone has to—" "No," she repeated. "That's how it wins. Even now." The figure tilted its head, watching us like a malfunctioning instrument trying to recalibrate. "You misunderstand," it said. "This is not continuation. This is residue." The ice beneath it sank slightly, water lapping at its boots. "When a system collapses," it continued, "what remains leaves an impression. Without an anchor, impressions spread." Behind us, the forest rustled uneasily, not threatening, unsettled, like something half asleep, unsure whether to wake up or die. Jess's voice dropped. "So you want a scar?" "Yes." The word landed heavier than anything else it had said. I felt something cold settle in my chest. "If one of us stays, the island stops trying?" "For now," the figure replied. "Memory fades. Land forgets." Aaron laughed bitterly. "That's a lie. You don't forget. You adapt." The figure didn't deny it. The silence stretched, thick and dangerous. Jess turned to me. I knew that look. It wasn't fear. It was calculation. "No," I said immediately. "Don't." She shook her head once. "I'm the only one it can't overwrite." "That's exactly why you can't," I snapped. "You stay, it learns again." She hesitated, just for a second. The figure's head snapped toward her. "Correct." Jess's jaw tightened. "See?" she said quietly. "That's the problem." Aaron stepped between us, hands raised. "Stop. We are not doing this." The ice cracked again, closer now, water spilling fully onto the shore. The lake was rising, not violently but persistently, reclaiming ground inch by inch. "Decision window closing," the figure said. "Instability spreading." The forest behind us groaned, a low sound like something immense shifting in its sleep. Jess closed her eyes. When she opened them, her voice was steady. "It doesn't need a person," she said. "It needs belief." The figure paused. Jess stepped closer to the water, boots sinking into the slush at the shoreline. "You said yourself you don't understand endings. You only understand continuation." She pointed at the collapsing basin behind us, the broken markers, the ruined dock. "This place doesn't need an anchor. It needs a reason to stop." Aaron whispered, "Jess." She didn't look back. "You learned fear from people," she said to the island. "You learned patience from the ones who stayed, but you never learned finality." The water surged suddenly, splashing up around her legs. The figure raised its arm. "Withdrawal insufficient." Jess didn't flinch. She turned to us one last time. "Listen to me," she said. "When this ends, really ends, you do not come back. You do not explain it. You do not give it language." My throat closed. "Jess, please." She smiled faintly. "Memory is the only thing it can't survive without." Then she did something none of us expected. She spoke the island's rules. All of them.
out loud. Every instruction, every correction, every test, every phrase the journal had ever written. She said them wrong, out of order, contradicting each other, breaking sequence, naming things that were never meant to be named together. The reaction was instant and violent. The figure screamed, not with a voice, but with structure. Its outline tore apart, collapsing into shifting layers that couldn't hold shape anymore. The lake exploded upward in a towering surge, ice shattering completely as water rushed outward in all directions. The forest convulsed. Trees bent, snapped, or simply fell over like their roots had given up. The ground split open in shallow fractures that steamed faintly, as if something deep below had finally been exposed to air. Jess was thrown backward, hard. Aaron and I ran at the same time, grabbing her arms, dragging her away from the surging water as the shoreline collapsed inward behind us. The figure disintegrated, its form unraveling into nothing but mist and sound before vanishing completely. The lake settled, not calm, but empty. The wind howled once, loud and unrestrained, then dropped into an ordinary human quiet. No pressure. No watching. No correction. We lay there for a long time, coughing, shaking, covered in freezing water and mud, listening to our own breathing. Jess laughed weakly. That's new? Aaron sobbed openly, clutching her like he was afraid she'd dissolve if he let go. The journal lay nearby, soaked through. I picked it up carefully. The pages were blank. All of them. We didn't wait for nightfall. We followed the shoreline until we found a stretch of solid ground where the ice had broken away enough to signal open water. Hours later, long after exhaustion blurred into numbness, we saw the transport boat approaching, the driver's face pale when he spotted us. He didn't ask questions. He didn't look back at the island. Neither did we. Months later, people would ask why the island was suddenly quiet, why nothing strange happened there anymore, why it felt ordinary. I never answered, because some places don't need to be haunted to be dangerous. They only need to be remembered wrong. And we made sure this one wouldn't be remembered at all.